Hey grade 12s, so if free fall is starting to get a bit confusing, we're going to break down the question 4 of the June 2025 physics paper. We're going to show the whole structure and approach to this question, as well as the usual formatting that they ask in all of the exams, so that you can feel more comfortable when you approach this question by yourself. Cool, so let's jump right in. So question 4 says a hot air balloon moves upwards at a constant velocity, that is important, when a block B is dropped from the side of the balloon and falls to the ground. The balloon is 50 meters above the ground when the object is dropped initially. The graphs below show the motion of both the balloon and block B. The graphs are not drawn to scale. Ignore all effects of air resistance. Use upwards as positive in all calculations. Very important. So what we have here is a velocity time graph for balloon and block B. As they mentioned, we have our velocity on the left, our time on the x-axis over here, and our positive direction is the initial direction. So everything above the line is positive and the initial direction that the block and the hot air balloon are moving in. So 4.1, it says which one, the balloon or block B, is in free fall. So they love this. They usually start this question either with a free fall or a projectile sort of definition or interpretation type question. So it says give a reason for the answer. So off the bat, the thing that is in free fall meaning that only gravity is acting on it, is the block over here. So our block B is in free fall. And once again, the reason is just a definition. This is just a different way of saying give the definition as to why it is in free fall. So therefore, only gravitational force acting on it. Cool. And that would earn us 2 marks. So the reason this is true is because of inertia. So even though the block was dropped, it continues with the same initial velocity as the balloon before it slows down to 0 and then changes direction. A reminder that whenever we approach 0 in a velocity time graph, it means we are changing direction. So what is actually happening is that this balloon is continuing up like that, okay? But this block over here is continuing, but it was dropped, so slowing down until it reaches 0, and then it changes direction. So the 0 point where it stops is over here. It was initially at 5, but it is slowing down in terms of velocity, as we can see here, as it bends to 0. And then as soon as it reaches its peak height and the 0 velocity, it starts to accelerate downwards. And that is what's happening here. This whole motion is it accelerating downwards until it hits the ground. So this will help us with our sketch over there for the position time graph, but it is very important to note how to interpret the velocity time graph, and that 0 is our reference point where it starts to change direction. So 2 things: they love the hot air balloon scenario because of the initial velocity of the block being the same as the initial velocity of the hot air balloon, even though it is in free fall. So right now we've answered 4.1. We understand a bit more what is happening in this question. And then 4.2 says using only equations of motion, calculate the following values. Okay, so we have our equations of motion up here, and it says 4.2.1, the time t1 over there. Okay, so t1, if we zoom in, is the point when it reaches 0 here. So it means it has an initial velocity and its final velocity will be 0. So this is always important to write down what variables we have. If we want time, that is going to be our question mark. Then our VI in this case is 5 meters per second there. Our VF at time t when it reaches 0 is 0. Our distance, we don't know. We don't know how far it traveled up from the 50 meter mark, because a reminder that from there to there is 50 meters. They told us that over here, but we don't know how much higher it traveled upwards. So we don't know the distance it traveled to that point, but we might not need to. And then in this scenario, we always have acceleration, and acceleration is minus 9.8. The reason that it is negative and the reason that it is important that we keep it negative is because they told us upwards is positive in all calculations, and gravity is acting downwards towards the earth. So we always need a positive and negative direction, and that helps us interpret this section a lot more clearly. So we have an A, we have a VI, we have a VF, we want T. It is only 3 marks. So this first equation here will work very nicely for us. So we can just plug in our values and solve for T there. So I'm just going to write this down, and then we can start substituting all of these values in. So our final velocity is 0. Our initial velocity is positive 5 as it is going upwards. Our a, as we mentioned, is negative 9.8, and our time is what we want. So we can take our 5 over, so it becomes negative 5. Then we have minus 9.8 delta t, and then we can just go ahead and divide by negative 9.8. So negative 5 divided by negative 9.8, and our time is 0.51 seconds. And it is a positive value as time is a scalar. So if we divided our 9.8 and we had a negative time value, it means that we didn't substitute a negative in correctly. So if we plugged in 9.8 but we didn't make it negative and we had a negative time, it means we must just go back and check our work because we didn't put in the correct negative based on which direction is positive and which direction is negative. So we have the time for T1 over there, earning us 3 marks. And then 4.2.2, the velocity V of block B. So the velocity V is over here. It is the final velocity when the ball hits the ground. Okay, so it was 50 meters above the ground and it says it falls to the ground. So V over here is the final velocity when the ball hits the ground. So the question following that is T2, and that is the time that it hits the ground, but we'll get there. So the velocity V of block B. So what we can do, and what we started with, is the time it took for it to go up. So one other thing we can keep in mind, and that is important for the section, is that the initial velocity the block went up with was 5 meters per second, but it was positive 5 meters per second. But then as soon as it comes down and it is perfectly in line with where it started, it will be negative 5 meters per second. So what we can keep in mind is that the velocity here and here is exactly the same in terms of numbers, exactly the same magnitude, but it is just a different direction, and therefore one is positive and the other is negative. So that is very important to keep in mind, which means we can always split up this whole distance into segments as far as it going up and then it going down, and then from here it going down if we want to. But at this stage, what is important for this question, if we just want the velocity V of block B, we want this VF over here because that is a question mark. It means our VI, we can just take it as the VI here with a positive 5 meters per second to the negative 1. We don't have to take the whole journey here, all the way to here, all the way to there. We don't have to segment it if we prefer not to. That means at this stage, we're using a different formula. We're using VF squared equals VI squared plus 2A delta Y. We're about to see why and how this works. So our final velocity is what we want. Our VI in this case is 5 meters per second squared. So it is a positive 5 meters per second. So we have that multiplied by 2 because that is a part of our formula, multiplied by negative 9.8 over there. And then our delta Y, what is important is that we don't have to add up how far the distance was over here. We can if we prefer that method, but what we are doing is plugging in 50 meters from here to here. The fact that this is positive and this final answer will be negative means that the positive and the negative are accounting for the 50-meter journey from here to here, not including from here to the top and from the top back in line with it, considering they have the same velocity here and here. So we can just plug in the 50 there. If we don't prefer this method, then we can always segment it, figure out the distance from here to here, and then just track this whole journey from however high it is here until it hits its final velocity there. That is also good. But let me know if there are any questions in the comments as far as clarifying this, and I will show the other approach in another video. So at this stage, delta Y is 50 meters, and it is displacement, so we have to make it a negative 50 because everything here is a vector except for time. Acceleration is a vector, so therefore it has a direction. So does the initial and final velocity, as well as the delta x, delta y, our displacement. So the fact that it is going down in a negative direction means we have to have a negative 50 there as well. So at this stage, we have numbers on the side. We can just simplify them in our calculator, take the square root, and account for the fact that our VF is going down, which means it won't be negative because of the square values we have here, but we do have to say that it is whatever magnitude we've calculated downwards. So at this stage, we can just plug this into our calculator and then we can go ahead and solve for it. So we have 1005 over there, big number, but this represents VF squared, which means we can just go ahead and square root this, and our final answer is 31.70 meters per second to the negative 1 down. Cool. And that just earned us 3 marks over there. And now we have the final velocity with which the block hits the ground. And then then at this stage for 4.2.3, they want the time t2, the time when the block hits the ground. Okay, this is also 3 marks, and we have an initial velocity, a final velocity, an acceleration, and we want time again, which means we can go ahead and use the first formula over there. So we're using the first formula over there, but we can use any other formula with time in it. Ideally, this delta y vi delta t plus half a delta t squared. That is also an option, but either way, both of those formulas will give us an answer that is within the range on the memo, considering there are lots of different ways to get to the same final answer. So time t2, I'm just going to go ahead and write down the formula that we're going to use together. So that means our vf is over here. It's our 31,70 down, which means it has to be negative based on the fact that down is negative. So we have that over there. Our vi still we can take as positive 5 meters per second, considering we are using the initial velocity that it had. Our a is negative 9.8, considering gravity is pulling it downwards. Cool. And then time is once again what we want over here. So at this stage, these two guys are multiplying, so we're going to deal with them last. So we can take 5 over and make it a negative 5. So we have negative 36.70 equals minus 9.8 delta t. So then we can go ahead, divide by negative 9.8 on both sides, and our final answer for delta t over here is 3,74 seconds. Okay, and that just earned us another 3 marks over there. And then we're on question 4.3, the last question of this section, for 5 marks, and they usually structure the questions like this with some sort of sketch at the end. So it says sketch a position time graph, very similar to what we did over here, almost identical, even though this just helped us with the explanation. Sketch a position time graph of block B from the moment it is dropped until it reaches the ground. Use the ground as 0 reference point. That's always important. Clearly indicate the following values on the graph: the initial height, the time at maximum height, the time when block B reaches the ground. They always give these bullet points here, and these bullet points here are always the exact same things that we worked out here. We never have to calculate anything further when we do a sketch. It is always the values that we calculated previously, and then we just plot it accordingly. If we don't have the values to plot this graph, it means we might have made a mistake up here, or if we need to calculate something further, we just need to double check that we don't already have what they're asking for. So we just need to make sure that these values over here, the things we calculated, are in fact the things we are plotting on the graph. So we can just go ahead and draw our position time graph. I'll draw the axes and the labels along. Okay, so we have our position versus time graph. We have position in meters on our y-axis and our time on the x-axis in seconds. We don't need a scale or anything. What we need for this is a general shape, just like this graph that they've initially given us with a general shape. Velocity time graphs, they are usually sharp and jagged, and then our position time graph looks like this, imagining you throwing a rock off of a cliff. It'll follow the same trajectory that you see. So that means we're just going to go ahead and draw this. The reason that the block doesn't just go like this, as we discussed, is that there is an initial velocity due to inertia. So it continues in the same direction until it slows down to the 0, and then it changes direction and accelerates downwards to the ground, ultimately hitting the ground. So it is exactly the same as what we had over there, just as if it was thrown off. But it wasn't thrown off, it was just under the influence of inertia, continuing in the direction of the balloon before it started to change direction. So what they want here, we've drawn the axes, we've sketched the general shape, that's great. And now we need the initial height. So we can just approach this like a checklist. The initial height we had here was 50 meters before it started to journey up. So 50 meters we have over there. That means we didn't have to calculate how high it went up, nor do we have to plot that distance up until the peak. So the initial height, we have that there. The time at maximum height. So that is the time t1 when it reached 0 all the way up here. And we had the time here from our previous question. It was 0.51 seconds. So we can just go ahead. Let's say that is our peak over here. Plot 0.51 over there. And then last bullet point they want from us is the time when block B reaches the ground. So the time for the total journey, we had that over here. It is 3.74 seconds, and that is when it hits the 0 reference point, 0 being over here. So then we can just plug 3,74 there, and that would earn us our 5 marks for this question and 16 marks for this whole section. Cool, guys. So that is free fall. That is an overview of the whole section, and these questions are very similar in each of the exams as far as the structure they follow. So let me know if there are any questions in the comments below, and if there's anything else to clarify in this video, as well as any other topics you need help with. And otherwise, I will see you in the next video.